Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Oh, chapter 12 is actually chapter 12, not chapter 11. Let me just change that. So I'd like to welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for giving up your valuable time so that we can share some nectar from the Bhagavad Gita. And I'd like to seek your good wishes and your blessings so that we can understand the wonderful instructions, guidance given by Sri Krishna in chapter 12. It's an extraordinary chapter. Its title is Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is devotional service. So this chapter actually is 12th out of the 18 chapters. It's the last chapter which deals with Bhakti Yoga. And it's one of the most, I would say, second favorite chapter. My first favorite chapter is chapter 1. The reason being, if we didn't have chapter 1 and Arjun's dilemma, we wouldn't have the Bhagavad Gita in the first place. But this chapter, number 12, is truly one of the most enlightening chapters that I have come across. And it's really, Krishna's instructions are very clear, deep, and he's got a wonderful way of engaging us, no matter what level we are at. So let's have a look at this. There's three themes in this chapter. Chapter 12 is one of the shortest chapters in the Bhagavad Gita. So if anybody wants to learn a chapter, this is the one to learn because it's only got 20 verses and the verses are not difficult as well. And we are actually very fortunate because hopefully one of the teachers of this chapter will be joining us shortly, Shruti. She teaches the Sanskrit sloks. And at the moment, she's, I think, taught 15 of the, there she comes, fantastic, bang on time. She's taught 15 sloks of this so far to the students. And one of the students is, or two of them are here. Very good, Bhavna Ben and also Kaushalya. And I just wanted to ask Bhavna Ben and Kaushalya, how have you found the teachings so far by Shruti?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna to everybody. I thought that I will never learn Bhagavad Gita sloks, but this learning of chapter 12, I can I can say the verses, and it helped me a lot. And thank you to Prabhuji and Shrutiji, who's teaching us the sloks every Wednesday evening. So thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
No point thanking me. I usually get in the way.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Thank you. Okay. So it contains essential wisdom, which warms the heart of the reader. It will, literally will. And it's entitled Devotional Service, as we said, Bhakti Yoga. And what is Bhakti Yoga? It is the path of devotion. And there's various stages that one may undergo to achieve it. And also Krishna talks about the different qualities of the devotees who have perfected Bhakti Yoga. So this chapter has three main themes. We gain insight into the most cherished aspects of God's personality and the disposition of the devotee who is fully in love with him. So the three themes. In the last chapter, Arjuna asked Krishna, show me your universal form. I want to see the Virat Roop. And Krishna shows him. But that confuses Arjuna. So Arjuna asks Krishna, is it better to worship your personal form, the form that I am seeing you? Or is it better to worship your impersonal, gigantic, formless form, if you like? So Krishna then answers Arjuna very clearly. It is better to worship my personal form. And then the second theme, Krishna gives different options. This is the glory of the Lord. He knows we're not perhaps capable of engaging in his bhakti to the standard that we should. So he gives options, and we'll see those options, really kindly giving us nice options. And then finally, he gives I call it the Bhakta Astakam, the 8 verses that endear, the eight verses which show the qualities of the devotee, which endear him to the devotee. So let's go for it. Let me see if I can find. So Hare Krishna Shruti.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, welcome. And Hare Krishna Purna Mataji. We have 2 great Sanskrit scholars here.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. And in fact, we have 3. If Shavi is there, now Shavi is the daughter of Purna Mataji. And Shavi amazingly knows this chapter by heart. And she also knows the 15th chapter by heart. And she learnt it in chapter 12 within like a few days. She's such a bright girl. So,
Yeah, she's around. Yeah, but she's, into her things and herself. Yes.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And she's only 8, right?
Yes, she's 8. Yes.
Wow.
Amazing. Well done. This is the training. This is an amazing training. So thank you. So Shruti, would you? Okay, let's see. We have some new devotees today. Maybe yes, Ashish, you can read the English translations, or maybe the first 5. How many we're doing? That's a good question. Let me just check how many we're doing. We're splitting the chapter into 3, into the themes. So the first 7. So we'll do the first 7. Ashish, can you read the first 7? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So Shruti will read the Sanskrit, and then it'll be followed by your reading of this English. So please, Shruti, you're welcome to start. Huh?
Yes, Prabhu. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. अथ द्वादशोऽध्यायः अर्जुन उवाच एवं सततयुक्ताये भक्तास्त्वां पर्युपासते ये चाप्यक्षरम् अव्यक्तं तेषां के योगवित्तमाः.
Arjun inquired, which are considered to be more perfect, those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested?
Shri Bhagavan uvacha मय्यावेश्य मनो ये मां नित्ययुक्ता उपासते श्रद्धया परयोपेतास्ते मे युक्ततमा मताः.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, those who fix their mind on my personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be the most perfect.
ये त्वक्षरम् अनिर्देश्यम् अव्यक्तं पर्युपासते सर्वत्र गम् अचिन्त्यं च कूटस्थम् अचलं ध्रुवम् सन्नियम्येन्द्रियग्रामम् सर्वत्र समबुद्धयः ते प्राप्नुवन्ति मामेव सर्वभूतहिते रताः.
But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons engaged in the welfare of all at last achieve me.
So just a quick word here. So the first question Arjun asks, the first verse, he says, which is better to worship? Your form, your personal form, or the impersonal? And Krishna's second verse clearly says, it's always better to worship my personal form. And in the third and fourth verses, we can see he's saying, okay, even if somebody is worshipping the impersonal form, they will reach me, but it'll take a long time. They at last achieve me. Okay. Please carry on, Shruti. Yeah.
क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखम् देहवद्भिरवाप्यते.
For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied.
ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्पराः अनन्येनैव योगेन मां ध्यायन्त उपासते तेषाम् अहं समुद्धर्ता मृत्युसंसारसागरात् भवामि न चिरात् पार्थ मय्यावेशितचेतसाम्.
But those who worship me, giving up all their activities onto me and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Parth, for them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death.
So again, this is a really significant verse. Krishna is saying, those who worship me, engaged in bhakti, meditating upon him, mind fixed upon him, he's a swift deliverer from the ocean of birth. This is really important. So let's have a look at a summary of this verse, this section. Okay. So in response to a question by Arjun, Krishna again picks up the discussion of impersonalism. Impersonalism is this point that some philosophers have, that God has no form. But in fact, in the Srimad Bhagavad Purana, it's very clearly explained. God has a form. It's a little bit like the sun. There is the sun which emanates the sunshine. So from God emanates an effulgence because he's very bright. That's the Lord. Now that effulgence, some people mistake to be the all-encompassing God, Lord. And they worship the impersonal form, the sunshine, as opposed to the sun, the effulgence, as opposed to the Supreme Lord. It seems to be a recurring theme in the conversation. And one may question why, right? The essence of our being is to be happy. We all want to be happy, right? Anandamaya Bhyasat. And the essence of such happiness is experienced in loving relationships. If you're on your own, it's quite difficult to be happy. Right? We can be self-satisfied. And actually our mission is to become self-satisfied. But you still need to have a loving relationship. This is part of our makeup as the Atma. We need something to convey, social animals, but we need somebody to connect with, to have this relationship with. For a relationship to exist, there must be a subject, object, and reciprocation. But impersonal notion of oneness kills all three. This point about worshipping the formless effectively kills any concept of relationships, because you want to merge into that effulgence of the Lord and become one with God. So there's no question of having a relationship with God. And therefore, this is actually what cheats the individual of true happiness. Krishna explains that a personal approach to God through bhakti yoga, devotional service, is more practical in the immediate term and more fulfilling in the long term. While those who tread the impersonal path of spirituality undoubtedly receive spiritual merit, but their progress is piecemeal and a great deal more troublesome. especially in Kali Yuga, where our intelligence is not so great. We get angry quickly. We don't live long lives, right? At any moment, our life can be finished. So this is not the time to delve into a difficult path. We want to find an easy path to God. So the lesson from this section, this part of the Bhagavad Gita, is to worship the impersonal form of the Lord is very difficult. And we've sort of tried to give a little comparison of the two. So this is the impersonal, formless form of God. Some people are inclined to worship, and this is the personal form of God. So we just want to compare the two in practical terms. Meditating on the formless is very difficult for the embodied. We're embodied in this material body. We're stuck in this material body. That's why we're called embodied. Yeah, the soul is stuck in this body. It's difficult. But if we meditate on the form of the deity, like we were doing the arti, it's much easier to focus on the form of the Lord. The unmanifested is beyond the senses. It restricts the senses. So basically, those who take to this path of worshipping the formless, they restrain their senses. They try not to smell anything nice. They don't try not to see anything nice. They try not to hear anything nice, taste anything nice, or touch anything nice. The five senses are restricted. But in the case of the personalist form through bhakti yoga, the senses can be used to perceive the deity and the sound of the mantras. We engage the senses. Rather than stopping them, we use them, but in the service of God. That's the point. And it's much easier to use something that you have than to not use it. Go on, you say it.
Yeah. So for the example, with the eyes, you can see nice pictures, the nice form of the Lord. With your nose, you can smell, the nice flowers that are offered to the Lord. With your tongue, you can sing nice bhajans and glorify the Lord. With your ears, again, you can hear about the Lord, katha or bhajan form. And with your hands, you can touch the Lord if you're able to, or clap your hands, glorifying the Lord like that.
Yeah, thank you. So the five senses are completely used, and they're used positively in the service of God. And that's bhakti yoga. That's very straightforward, bhakti yoga. And then let's go to the third thing. Must understand the Brahman. This Brahman is another name. Not the same as Brahma. Brahma is the first living created being with the four heads in our universe, who is the secondary creator. This Brahman that we're talking about here is this formless aspect of God. Must understand the Brahman through Upanishads. So you have to learn Sanskrit. Now, I know some people don't mind to learn Sanskrit, but actually Sanskrit is a really tough language. And it can take, I know people who've been studying it for years and years. There's one person I know studying it for 11 years and hardly scratch the surface of the language. It's very complex and very deep. And you have to understand the non-perceptual feelings, i.e., you have to withdraw all the senses and stop the feelings. It's quite hard. Whereas from the personal point of view, you can understand Krishna through bhakti, devotional service. And how do we do it? In this age of Kali, we've given a very easy way of doing it. Harinam, 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 Kevalam, Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nasteva, 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 Gatina Tatha. Simply by chanting the holy names of the Lord, chanting the holy names, one can transcend the material concept of life. And of course, need a guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, offering obeisances to a deity, hearing the Lord, glories, eating prasad. Eating prasad is also considered to be a spiritual activity. So we can do things in a very enjoyable way and still make progress towards the Supreme Lord in Bhakti Yoga. Fourth thing is this is a long practice. One has to meditate for a very, very, very long time in order to make any progress in this discipline here, in terms of getting close to the formless. Whereas Bhakti Yoga is very, very natural. We've been talking about that this afternoon, how Srimad Bhagavad Puran in the Canto 7 describes how Bhakti Yoga is such a natural, easy process for the Atma. And the fifth point about the formless is that it's very troublesome because there's no relationship. That's what we discussed a little bit. There's no relationship with anybody, especially the Lord. Whereas in the personalist, there is a relationship to be formed with the Lord. That relationship can be of 5 types: neutral, friendship, servitude, friendship, parental, and lover. And one can get total fulfillment in those relationships with Krishna, have a natural position. And then for the impersonalist, it depends on our own endeavor, right? We're on our own. You can't be with anybody else, literally. Whereas in the personalist, this is partnership between us and God and the other bhaktas as well. Krishna delivers devotees from Maya. Why? Because Krishna himself recommends this process out of paternal love. He's our father. He's our eternal father. And he's very merciful, kind. So we've gone into that in some detail. There's more detail, but that's quite enough for today in terms of the first comparison between formless and form. And we're happy to take questions at the end when we finish hopefully the 3 themes today. But if you do have any questions, do bear them in mind, please, so that we can take them later on. But very important aspect of the Gita we have just covered. Now we've got about 5 verses, which Manish can read. Yeah, where is it? Yeah, good, thank you. Manish, would you like to read the English translations of these?
Yes, of course.
Very good.
Thank you.
मय्येव मन आधत्स्व मयि बुद्धिं निवेशय निवसिष्यसि मय्येव अत ऊर्ध्वं न संशयः.
So Lord says, just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always, without a doubt.
अथ चित्तं समाधातुं न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम् अभ्यासयोगेन ततो मामिच्छाप्तुं धनञ्जय.
My dear Arjun, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the Then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me.
अभ्यासेऽप्यसमर्थोऽसि मत्कर्म परमो भव मदर्थम् अपि कर्माणि कुर्वन् सिद्धिम् अवाप्स्यसि.
If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage.
अथैतदप्यशक्तोऽसि कर्तुम् मद्योगम् आश्रितः सर्वकर्मफलत्यागम् ततः कुरु यतात्मवान्.
If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act giving up all results of your work and try to be self-situated.
Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasat jnanadhyanam vishishyate dhyanat karma phalat tyagas tyagat shantir anantaram.
If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation. And better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind.
Thank you, Ashish. We'll see you tomorrow.
Manish.
I know it's Manish, but Ashish, we'll see you tomorrow in the meeting, huh? Where's he gone?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, fine.
good, good.
Yeah, fine. Thanks. Bye.
Just give us a quick update tomorrow, huh? Please, in the
Yeah,
meeting.
yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
sure.
Thank you. Thank you for joining today. And
Yeah.
thank you, Manish. You read very well, by the way.
Thank you.
So this is one of the most interesting aspects of the Bhagavad Gita, I have to say. This one really, I've been reading these 5 verses for many, many years. And it just shows the flexibility of the Lord. He really wants us back with him. And he's showing that through this flexibility. He demonstrates his magnanimity and his understanding. He delineated the topmost practice of Bhakti Yoga. He told us in text number 2, just fix your mind upon me. He told us in text number 5, I am going to be your swift deliverer if you do that. But it's not so easy, right? Because we're in Kali Yuga as well. So he goes on to offer other options, recognizing that some may find it difficult to immediately embrace Bhakti Yoga at its highest level. So he's given progressive steps towards a devotional spirit, including the practice of regulated spirituality, worshipping through one's daily work, cultivation of knowledge. So he's giving us so much flexibility. So the spiritual path is not all or nothing. This is the point. Sometimes we think, okay, I give it all or I can't do anything at all. But no, it's a balance. And one can begin the journey according to one's situation. What is feasible? What's realistic? This is how Krishna is. It's so amazing. The lesson to learn from this, Krishna is very patient. He's waiting for us to step up, take the next step. But he's very patient. He'll wait until we're ready. So what are these steps? I absolutely love this. So first thing he says in text number 8, those who have fixed their mind on me, they will live in relationship with Krishna. That's really the highest. But to fix the mind on anything, let alone Krishna, is very difficult. Kali Yuga, our mind is chanchalam, right? It's always flickering here, there, everywhere, not staying in one place. So then Krishna says, okay, I understand. It's going to be hard for you to do this. Then follow the regulated principles of sadhana bhakti. Do regulated bhakti, which means Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, hearing about Krishna, chanting his holy names, serving the Lord, doing arti, worship, archanam, serving his lotus feet, becoming his friend, surrendering to him, and doing all of these things. So if we do that, we develop this desire to get Krishna, to attain Krishna. Now he knows, okay, that might be even tricky for you. Okay, don't worry. Just work for me then. If you can't fix your mind on me and you can't follow the rules, then work for me. Do something for me, right? So he says, if you do something for me, you will come to the stage of bhakti. Work for me. Now, of course, we probably have to work for Infosys or I don't know which other companies devotees work for here. So we can't necessarily work for Krishna. So Krishna then says, okay, you can't work for me. Then give up the fruits of your results. The fruits you're getting from your work, give them to me. Use whatever you have to use for your family, for yourself. The rest you give to me. And the result of that is it becomes purified. That wealth becomes purified. So let's have a look, a little bit more detail, what he's saying. Fix your mind on me. Or if you can't do that, follow the rules and regulations. If you can't do that, then work for Krishna. If you can't do that, then give up the results of your work, in the sense that use them in the service of God. And then he's saying, okay, if you can't even do that, then cultivate some knowledge. Cultivate some knowledge. Let's have a quick look at what he's saying again. It's always very interesting. If you can't take to this practice, engage in yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Get some gyan. That's the least we can do. Get some gyan. And what is this gyan? Reading Bhagavad Gita, reading the Vedic literatures,
Finding out about him.
finding out about Krishna. But he's saying better than knowledge, right? Better knowledge is meditation. Do japa. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. You may have other mantras. Do the mantras. Better than mantras is giving up the fruits of your action. Because by such giving up the fruits, you get peace of mind. So, of course, in Kali Yuga, the mantra is key, because in Kali Yuga, this is the prescribed method of actually attaining God consciousness. But the minimum that we have to do is get some knowledge. Because if we have some knowledge, gyan, that gyan will convert to vigyan in time. Knowledge will convert to wisdom. But if we don't have the knowledge in the first place, there's nothing to convert into wisdom. So this is why we recommend to read the Bhagavad Gita. Read it together with other devotees. So then it's easier to understand the Bhagavad Gita. So that's the second theme. It's one of the most amazing part. Yeah. Oh yes, through the sword of knowledge, we can destroy our existence in this material world. Ignorance. Yeah. Destroy ignorance. So very, very interesting part of Bhagavad Gita. And now Krishna describes, for the rest of the chapter, is the Bhakta Astakam. And I wanted actually, maybe Ravi and his good wife, if she's there, you can read the 4 verses each, if that's possible.
Sure, I can do that. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. So, Shruti, go for it.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Adveshta sarvabhutanam maitrah karuna eva cha nirmamo nirahankarah samadukha sukhakshami santushtah satatam yogi yatatma dridhanishchayah मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिर् यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः.
One who is not envious but is a kind friend to all living entities, one who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, one who is tolerant, always satisfied, self controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me, such a devotee of mine is very dear to me.
यस्मान्नो द्विजते लोको लोकान्नो द्विजते च यः हर्षामर्षभयोद्वेगैर्मुक्तो यः स च मे प्रियः.
He by whom no one is put into difficulty, and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me.
अनपेक्षः शुचिर्दक्ष उदासीनो गतव्यथः सर्वारम्भ परित्यागी यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः.
My devotee, who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, and not striving for some result, is very dear to me.
यो न हृष्यति न द्वेष्टि न शोचति न काङ्क्षति शुभाशुभपरित्यागी भक्तिमान्यः स मे प्रियः.
One who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things, such a devotee is very dear to me.
समः शत्रौ च मित्रे च तथा मानापमानयोः शीतोष्णसुखदुःखेषु समः सङ्गविवर्जितः तुल्यनिन्दास्तुतिर्मौनी सन्तुष्टो येन केनचित् अनिकेतः स्थिरमतिर्भक्तिमान् मे प्रियो नरः.
One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge, and who is engaged in devotional service. Such a person is very dear to me.
ये तु धर्म्यामृतमिदं यथोक्तं पर्युपासते श्रद्दधाना मत्परमा भक्तास्तेतीव मे प्रियः. ॐ तत्सत् इति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे भक्तियोगो नाम द्वादशोऽध्यायः.
Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me.
Jai, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 20, Kijay. And thank you, 12th chapter, Kijay. And thank you. Is it Anshu? What's your name, Mataji?
Malini.
Oh, Malini. Sorry, Malini. Thank you, Malini. Very, very nice. Very,
Thank you.
And Shruti, amazing. I love the way you conclude it as well. Really good. Thank you so much. Beautiful. And just a quick plug, Shruti is on Sunday. She's doing Guru Vayur, talking about Guru Vayur, the beautiful temple in Kerala. And she did part 1 last week, and it was amazing. And we're looking forward to loads of sessions with all the different temples around South Bharat. So Sunday at 3:30, please do join us. Shruti will be leading the way. So the Bhakta Astakam, verses 13 to 20. As one embarks on the spiritual journey, devotees begin to develop saintly qualities that automatically will come. Krishna concludes the chapter by elucidating the disposition of perfected devotees. So let's have a look at some of these qualities. Right? These are the different qualities that make one dear to Krishna. Not being envious, kindness, freedom from ego, false ego, equal in happiness and distress, satisfied, placing no one in difficulty, not giving anybody a tough time, free from anxiety, independence from ordinary course of activities, not dependent on anything, pure, expert, free from lamentation, I had this and I lost it. Grasping, what's grasping? Neither being happy nor distress, right? Equipoised. And again, equal with friends and enemies. Don't have friends, don't have enemies. We were talking about that this afternoon as well. Equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, freedom from contamination, silence, not Monrat. Monrat just means if one opens one mouth, one will talk rubbish. Silence means talking about God. That's what silence means. Established in knowledge and satisfied. Oh, we got satisfied twice. Okay, interesting. So we can categorize these qualities into 4 different parts: attitude towards oneself, dealings with others, reactions when challenging situations arise, and dealing with the Lord. So these are 4 things. These are basically how those 18 things that we talked about, how they can be categorized into these 4 things. But I wanted to focus on one particular thing. Devotees endowed with such endearing character traits conquer the heart of Krishna, who becomes bound by their spotless devotion. Such are the dealings with within the transcendental realm, where even the unconquerable supreme controller becomes a captive of love. This is the most extraordinary aspect of bhakti and Krishna consciousness. He's regarded to be the fountainhead of all avatars, Krishna. And the reason is, if you look at the activities of Ramachandra and the activities of Vishnu, they will never submit to the devotees because they are masters, right? Ramachandra is a king. His mood is that of Aishwarya, worship in the highest form. Same with the Lord Vishnu. But Krishna's character, although being the same as Ram and Vishnu, is somewhat all-inclusive. He is willing to submit to the love of his devotees. And I'll give you one example. When Mother Yashoda was feeding him, and for whatever reason, she had to attend to something else, and she left him, he threw a tantrum and he broke some pots. He stole some butter from his own mother. She ran after him with a stick, and he ran from her. The supreme personality of Godhead, who everybody else is scared of, was running scared from his devotee who had this motherly love towards him. He had surrendered to her. He became a captive of love. The unconquerable supreme personality of Godhead becomes controlled by his devotee. This is the uniqueness of the relationship one can have with Krishna. Now, the lesson from this theme, in 4 out of these 8 verses, right, the Astakam, Krishna mentions that the devotee who is dear to him is equal in happiness and distress, right? Now, this is a world mainly of distress. We know it. Everybody may not admit to it, but this world is full of distress. Even one may be in the happiest situation, but there is always going to be the distress. I'm going to lose everything. I will die. I may not even wake up tomorrow. So this distress is always going to be there at the back of our mind, if not at the forefront of our mind. So what's the thought process of a devotee who is in distress? How does he think? Because remember what Krishna is saying, that person who is steady, equal in happiness and distress, is dear to him. So the one that in happiness, it's quite easy to become steady, right? If you gain some great fortune, you can say, okay, you know what? This is the Lord's mercy. But if you get heavy distress, do we have the same attitude? May not. So what is the mood? Let's have a look at this. This is quite interesting. What is the thought process of somebody, of a devotee of God who is in distress? He thinks that this is the Lord's mercy upon him. This distress, I thank you, my Lord, for this distress. How is this the Lord's mercy, right? So this is the analysis. The devotee thinks, thanks to my past misdeeds, I should have actually suffered a lot more, but God has reduced my suffering. So the distress I'm going through now is actually less because the Lord has reduced it. I should be even suffering even more. So immediately we're pulling the rug from underneath the feet of the distress by saying, actually, it should be more. By the Lord's mercy, I'm not getting all the punishment I am due. The Lord has minimized. The devotee is thinking, this person is acting as my enemy due to my past misdeeds. So I shall not be angry at the instruments of my karma. Usually the distress takes place because somebody has said something horrible or somebody is behaving horribly towards us. So we should not worry too much about that person because he's simply the instrument of our own doing. We've done something wrong in our past. We're just getting payback. That's all it is. So what happens if somebody is thinking like that? What is the result of that person, to that person? He's always calm, right? He's quiet, he's patient, despite many stressful conditions. Nor is he envious of anybody or disturbed by their behavior or become the enemy's enemy. That person, he is ready to go to the spiritual world. This is really powerful. So if we can handle distress, then we've got one step, one foot in the spiritual world. And look at this verse. This is from the Bhagavad Puran. It's one of the most glorious verses. My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances within his heart, words and mind, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. So one who's suffering, but earnestly waiting for the Lord's mercy, for him, the door of heaven is actually, the door to the spiritual world is half open already. So that's where I wanted to end. Let's see if we can handle distress in the same way that we handle happiness. That's a very interesting lesson to learn from this aspect of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so let's see. That's it. So I wanted to ask if anybody has any comments, any questions, any doubts, anything that we've said which doesn't sort of line up with what you may have understood about Sanatana Dharma or Vedic philosophy. You're welcome to ask, challenge, contradict. How come everybody's quiet? Everybody's asleep out there. Yes, Vikram.
No, Prabhuji, we are really enjoying it so much. My God, it's getting into the so much nice feeling.
Good, good. Yes, Vikram.
Hare Krishna, Nabiji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Jantiman ji.
Hare Krishna.
I have a very basic question.
Sure.
Probably you may have addressed it in chapter 1. Yeah. But I'm trying to find the answer for it.
Sure.
And the question is this: Bhagavad Gita was what Lord Krishna told Arjuna in the field of Kurukshetra.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And nobody else other than one more person actually heard it. So only Arjuna heard it. And the other person was Sanjay,
Yes.
because he was given a divine, whatever, Divya Drishti.
Yeah.
Now, how did actual Bhagavad Gita got written then?
Very good question. And you're right, we did it in the introduction, actually. Actually, there was another person, Vyasdev. Vyasdev is the author of the Mahabharata. Vyasdev is actually none other than Krishna himself, but in the literal incarnation of God. So Vyasdev is also an avatar. He is the author of all of the Vedic scriptures, all of the Itihasas, all of the Puranas, all of the Upanishads, the Smritis, the Shrutis, everything. And he also dictated the Mahabharata to Ganpati. And they had a pact that Ganpati would write as long as Vyasdev would speak. And as soon as Vyasdev stopped speaking, Ganpati would stop writing. And then Vyasdev said, okay, no problem, but I also have a condition. You have to understand everything you write. So some aspects of Vedic philosophy are very complex to understand, because sometimes Vyasdev needed a break, right? So he would compose a verse, which is so complex, and then Ganpati would be working it out. Hang on, how does this verse work? Trying to understand it. And by the time he's finished understanding it, Vyasdev's back again. And then Ganpati writes. So yes, there was another person, and that is Vyasdev himself. So he's the one who wrote the Mahabharata, in which the Bhagavad Gita is one chapter.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for that question. Very, very good.
And Vyas was the person actually who gave the Divya Drishta to Sanjay.
Oh, yeah.
Sanjay, yes, he was the one actually. Vyasa is a grandfather of Pandavas, and rather great grandfather, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
And and Vikram, you know a lot of stories, don't you? It's very good. Very good. Very good. Yes, very good.
Okay.
Those stories are going to be very handy, because when we do children's classes, they love stories. So it's very good, Vikram.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Manish, did you have something you wanted to share?
Something that just occurred to me. If Saint Vyas is Lord himself, then why would he need a break?
Good question. This is all part of the Leela. He's what's called a Shakti-avesh avatar. Shakti-avesh avatar is an empowered soul. So he may, in some cases, be Krishna himself, or sometimes he's an empowered soul. Now, I think our Vyasdev is Krishna himself. But why does Krishna, for example, need to become a chariot driver, right, of his devotee Arjuna? He's the Supreme Lord. Why would he want to do that? It's all part of the Leela. They have this relationship with the devotees, like Vyasdev had a relationship with Ganpati. It was a transcendental. They were a little bit in competition with each other. It was a transcendental competition where they would try to, whilst dictating the Vedic scriptures, at the same time have a little bit of enjoyment with each other through Leela. And this was one of the ways they did it.
No, thank you. That makes sense, because to me, Lord being a charioteer was very important. It's, and the way I look at it is, or the way I understand is, that being a charioteer, he is guiding not just Arjun, but the entire humanity to follow a certain path. You can be a leader, but you have to find ways to communicate and to guide people in a certain way, and you can't always shoot, and you have to take different ways to do that.
I like what you've just said. Because what you're basically saying is something like, correct me if I'm wrong, do the needful, isn't it? Krishna he also did the needful at the time when it was needed. He became a chariot driver, as you said, in order to guide us that, hey, you may have to you can't always be the leader, the top man. Sometimes take a role which is required at that time.
Yeah, basically you need to practice what you preach.
Yeah, actually, Krishna was accused after speaking the Bhagavad Gita. He was accused. Okay, you've given a nice message. Thank you so much, Krishna, but I don't see you practicing it. So what happened? Krishna said, okay, I'm going to come. I'm going to come as a devotee and I'm going to practice what I preach. So what happened? He came 500 years, just over 500 years ago, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda. And he came disguised as a devotee and he practiced what he preached. He chanted, he meditated, he sung, he gave up attachment to material life in that form as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So interesting.
I just want to say, was it Shruti who was recited the Sanskrit shloka? I just want to thank her. It was really amazing. Just felt like, I should close my eyes and keep listening to it.
Yeah.
So, very well done. Thank you.
She is extraordinary. As is Puna Mataji as well. They both are amazing. Shruti actually teaches every Wednesday at 7 o'clock, same Zoom address. She teaches the 12th chapter. So they're one by one, the students are learning by heart the verses. And one of the students is gone, but another student is still there. Kaushalya, Maji? Are you there? No, maybe she's having a break. So if you want to hear Shruti more, please come then.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
I'll definitely try and log in.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Thank you for the comment. And it's always good to get that feedback because it just encourages everybody. So thank you so much.
Definitely, Prabhuji. Mataji, thank you so much. It's very, very kind of you to say that. It's in fact, it's like Prabhuji said, it's everyone's best wishes and blessings that keep us going and inspire us to give us our best each time. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? I just wanted to ask, the way we are presenting the Gita, the chapter, does it make sense? Manish, you're coming for the first time. Is this sort of thing that would help you to understand the Gita better?
Absolutely. It definitely helps me a lot because I remember I read Gita a long time ago, but I didn't understand. I didn't grasp the whole message of it. And yes, I really enjoy it, and definitely I'm really happy and that you invited and feeling very privileged.
Great. No, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So
every Friday we do this. So next Friday we'll do the 13th chapter, which is pretty challenging. This is such a beautiful chapter. After this, it's a little bit harder, but still it's the nectar of Krishna's words. You can't beat that. So.
Absolutely. It's amazing. Thank you so much.
No, that's a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. It's really nice. And this is all thanks to actually going down this route of trying to open up this temple. We've come across so many wonderful people like yourself, Ravi, Vikram, these are all people we've come across very recently, and it's really enriched, our activities. So I'm just thankful to the Lord for allowing us to do this. Very good. Surinder, anything you'd like to add?
Hare Krishna, Dandavad, Nitai Gupta, Prabhu, very interesting. Yes, it's very nicely presented. Yes, excellent, Prabhu. And we are thankful to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga to be able to listen Krishna Katha from you. Well presented, Prabhu. Nitai Guru.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Nitai Guru.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you so much. So if there's nothing else, we shall take your leave. We will see everybody. Well, tomorrow we're having 3:30, same Zoom address, presentation by Indulekha Devi. She's going to talk about the prayers of an elephant called Gajendra in the 8th canto of the Srimad Bhagavad Puran. Very interesting prayers. So if you're free, please do join us. Otherwise, we shall see everybody later on in the week. Thank you so much, everybody. Oh, Shruti is coming on Sunday. Just another plug. It really is good. Please do join us. And Shruti, we're thinking of doing a tour of all of the main temples in south of Bharat.
Yeah.
And you're leading that tour, by the way.
It would be my utmost pleasure. I'll definitely try to do whatever best I can. Surely, in fact, it will be like I am also going along on that tour with all of you. that makes it much better, doesn't it?
Yeah, it'd be amazing, amazing. Because we can do it from our own armchairs, at home. But yeah, it's really good. Thank you so much, everybody. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Krishna.
Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Namaji. Is that Shavi?
No, that is some other child, I guess.
Ravi's daughter.
Gatit and Katan.
No, I think somebody else's child.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
That's Shruti Prabhuji, Ravi's daughter.
What's her name?
Yukti Ravi. Yukti Ravi.
Oh, Yukti. Yes, I remember you, Yukti. Very good. I'm coming to your school one day. You know that. We're going to chant Hare Krishna.
Chipstead.
What was that?
She said it's called Chipstead.
Chipstead, yes.
Oh, Chipstead Valley Road?
Chipstead, yes. The Chipstead Nursery.
Oh, nursery, yeah, of course. Very good.
And 3 years.
3 years.
Wow.
That's huge.
Hare Krishna.
Wow, you say it so nicely.
Thank you.
Say it again.
Hare Krishna, Chappa. Hare Krishna.
Wow, I really like the way you say it.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna, okay?
Okay.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shruti. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare
Amazing.
Krishna,
That's
Mataji.
so
Thank
good.
you so much.
Oh, are you able to join tomorrow?
The committee meeting.
Yeah,
Yes, I will.
very good. Thank you so much.
At 9:30, isn't it?
9:30, yeah, we'll do it early. Yeah, we'll do it early. I think it makes sense to get it out of the way early and then the rest of the day is free. Yeah.
The rest of the day is free. And of course, you do have other sessions as well throughout the day, so you will be able to make time for those as well.
Yeah, I'm happy actually. Earlier the better. Thank you so much. Huh?
Okay, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Everybody loves the way you chant the slokas. I remember when you were chanting it on that Gita Jayanti, I was thinking, wow, she's the best out of everybody. And it's amazing, you know.
Nice.
Yeah.
So sweet.
Yeah.
Gentle.
Yeah. Well done. Fantastic.
We were taught that in that manner actually.
Yes.
I used to. I think I mentioned some time back. there were these classes for children that used to be run by an organization, a spiritual and charitable organization called the Chinmaya Mission.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Chinmaya Mission, they have their ashram in Bombay. And I do think, and I'm sure they have centers all across the country and maybe even outside India. But they used to run, I'm not sure if they still do. I think they definitely must. But back when I was in school, they used to run these classes for children called Bal Vihar classes.
Oh, okay.
Where children were taught all kinds of verses from the scriptures. We used to study verses from the Bhagavad Gita, verses from other scriptures. We used to sing bhajans, and we used to chant the